there, I am Gigi. Welcome to my corner. It is time for us to do a little crafting, a little chatting, and spend a beautiful afternoon together. Here in Delaware, it is 60 degrees today outside, and seeing as it is January, that is pretty unusual. Although I have to say, because we live near the ocean and the bay, and those are big bodies of water, they regulate the temperature quite a bit. So we are a little bit warmer in the winter here than, say, New Jersey, where I grew up. So it's unusual, but not outside the realm of possibility, obviously. So yay, we love that. This is a little bit freeform because this is my very first episode of Gigi's Corner. So let's see what we do. The first thing I would love to share with you is my most recent finished object. And I have to tell you, I was off crafting for a long time. I wasn't inspired. I had this looming project, which I'm about to show you, that I thought I had it finished. And then I realized I had missed a piece of the pattern and I still had a little bit left to go and I needed a little bit more yarn. And I just got really overwhelmed and frustrated with the whole thing. So for probably about 7 or 8 months, I didn't touch it. And I finally finished it and it kicked off the crafting bug in me once again, which I had really missed. It's a special part of my life and I enjoy it. So I'm happy to be back and sharing it with you. And my hope is that if we're crafting together, it will give me some accountability to stay crafting. So without any further ado, this humdinger this is my Cumulus cardigan, which was made from a pattern. It's crochet, and the pattern was written by Samantha Marie V. Terwel. I will put up her handle, Terwel Made. It was a really fun pattern. I used Woolies Thick and Quick, and I'm going to put up a picture of me wearing it because it is way too warm for me to put that bad girl on today. But it went fast, as the Thick and Quick name would indicate. And I really loved it. I loved the Hudson Bay colorway with all the colors modeled together and juxtaposed against the Fisherman colorway, which is that bone kind of a color. It just really was a beautiful combination. It feels really nice and soft. The yarn was easily accessible. This time around, I bought it at Walmart because I really like Lion Brand yarn. As far as acrylic blends and stuff go, I feel like they have pretty high quality. So I knew I wanted to get some Lion Brand yarn, and rest in power, Joanne Fabrics is gone, so it's a little bit harder to find these days. We have a Michaels here, but they kind of have switched over to a house brand of yarns. So we haven't really so much access to some of the brands that I used to be able to get really readily, one of which is Lion Brand. So when I saw it in Walmart, I couldn't help myself, and I got pretty much a sweater amount, and then I realized I needed to do the ribbing around the neck, and that's where it was oh, I need just a little bit more. So I bought enough that I could do that ribbing and potentially maybe a matching hat or something like that. So I do have in my stash a little bit left of the Fisherman and the Hudson Bay Quick and Thick yarn. So that will get put to good use at some point. As far as what I am currently working on, my work in progress, I may come around to it, but I don't love the term whip. It just, I don't know. I don't love it. Forgive my project bag. It's what I got right now, okay? So this is a scarf that I am designing, and I'm kind of going for I don't know if it's going to focus or if you can really see, but this lace pattern, I'm going for almost like little pine cones. And I hope that that conveys. I'm doing a garter stitch border so that after I block it, hopefully it will lay flat and it won't roll up the way you can see it doing kind of in the middle there. I don't love that because when you put it on, it kind of ropes up on you, and that's not my favorite. But this is Knit Picks yarn and also a Knit Picks interchangeable cable. I don't remember what size needle this is, so forgive me for that. I kind of pulled this needle out with this yarn. I had a previous project that I frogged because I didn't like the way it was turning out. So this is kind of my personal answer to that. But the Knit Picks gloss is a blend of merino wool and silk. I think when I wash it, I'm going to put just like a tiny little bit of hair conditioner with it because it's soft, but a little bit not scratchy, grabby, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I don't quite know how to describe it, but it could be just a touch softer. So I'm hoping by adding just a little bit of that hair conditioner into the eucalyptus and the water that I use. I might even do the eucalyptus first and then do the conditioner after. It's all a big experiment. But my hope is that that will get it to kind of like soften up and open up a little bit. But I really like this yarn. This is the color Bordeaux. I bought this yarn many years ago. I want to say it was 2012, 2013. I bought it to make a little shrug for my mom because she had a dress that had accents of this color in it that she wanted to wear for a wedding, but it was strapless. And she didn't love the look of that. She was also concerned with the time of year that she would be cold. So I made her a little shrug that we still have around here somewhere. It was cute. And I wound up with a bunch of the yarn left over. I way overbought. So I'm making a little scarf out of it, and we'll see if any other accessories come out of it as well. So that's the exciting work in progress at the moment. Give me just a moment here so I can do a little bit of, I kind of want to knit this while we chat, but I'm concerned. I'm not going to, because if I lose my place in the pattern, if I don't count, I can watch TV and like listen to podcasts and stuff while I do it. But if I'm not really actively looking at it and counting it, I have made mistakes in this scarf previously, and I'm lazy. So I frogged the mistake once. That was really finicky, and I wound up with extra stitches on the needles because I got excited, I guess. And so after that, I decided not to frog anymore or tink. I did some tinking, but it's really finicky. I decided that if I had extra stitches, I would just on the wrong side purl some bad girls together. And if I needed to add stitches, I could add them in the garter stitch. I have done both of those things. So my dearest hope is that with a 6.5 inch scarf, that those little quirks won't be super visible. We will find out. We'll see how that turns out. Give me a second. I just want to take care of my yarn. We're at like the end of the cake, so it's not a center pull or anything anymore. It's just kind of like blah. So I got to be keeping it in this plastic bag. To that end, I'm really excited about a pattern that I think I'm going to do soon for sewing. I have not done any machine sewing, God, probably in like 10 years. I did some hand sewing during COVID. I made a couple of masks for my now husband and they turned out okay. It was tedious. I didn't have a sewing machine at the time, and now I do. So I am going to put up a little picture of the pattern. It's called a cozy. Let me make sure so I don't tell you the wrong thing. COSYpouch, COSY. And it's from Incomplete Stitches. So very cute. And it comes in 3 sizes. So I want to make a couple of sizes of them and use them for various projects because I have had multiple handmade project bags over the years, but I always just did kind of like sew on 3 sides, do the little top, put a drawstring in it. And I didn't do the most thorough job. So what would happen a lot is that on the inside, because I didn't zigzag stitch or anything, like the thread of the fabric would shed out and it would get all up in my yarn and it eventually would get kind of like funky and gross and I didn't love it. So I want to do something much more structured this time around and something that I really love so that I'm going to want to keep taking care of it and using it for a long time. So I am excited about these little pouches. I don't exactly know when I'm going to get around to starting them. My husband and I run a ballroom dance business. So we teach out of a yoga studio currently. We are working on claiming our own space sometime in the next year. But this yoga studio owner in the area, who is just a beautiful human being, has graciously been letting us share her space. And through the grace of God and hard work, we have been getting a lot of students. And it's really exciting, but we're getting a lot busier. So, time for crafting. I also sing in a choir and I sing in a band that I love called Can't Fool the Blues. So, I have a lot of little like odd jobs and performing opportunities and things that take up a lot of time. So, sewing, if you've never sewn before, it takes up time and space because you have to, well, I mean, you don't have to, but you should press or iron the fabric before you cut it and periodically throughout the project so that there's not wrinkles and bunches and you set yourself up for success in constructing the pieces into the completed pattern. So I know that that's going to take some time and energy, and I don't have a ton of either of those things lately. So, it's okay. I will get to it and I will be really excited about it, but it might not be right now. Oh, and speaking of projects I'm getting excited to start, I have several sock patterns. I recently brought some Felici yarn from Knit Picks. I do a lot of Knit Picks because tragically we do not have a local yarn store here. I don't understand why. We have a population that knits, but I guess nobody's ever undertaken it, or if they did, maybe they retired or didn't want to continue or couldn't continue. I don't really know the history. All I know is ever since I've been here, we do not have a local independent yarn store. We really just have Michael's and Walmart. So when it comes to things that are a little bit of a different, not as commercial combination of fibers, or a hand painted yarn or tonal, stuff that is a little bit more unique, I'm always open to ideas, but I have had really good experiences with Knit Picks, both for tools and for yarn. So I use a lot of their stuff. And to that end, I recently got a good size cable needle. I believe it's a US1. It's either a US1 or a US2, something that is not included in the interchangeable set because of the size, the diameter of it. So I got a fresh cable needle and some yarn. And I also have some dragonfly fibers yarn left over from probably a sheep and wool, or maybe the yarn store I worked at when I lived in Baltimore 1,000 years ago. Really pretty gray pearlescent yarn, which I could probably show you. One moment, please. Okay, so this is the dragonfly fibers yarn. I'm not sure if it's going to focus for you, but it's really pretty. It's a tonal gray. I believe it's called Silver Fox, but it's just really pretty shades of gray. And I started designing a pattern in, I think, 2012 called the Rainy Day Sock. And I worked laboriously on this pattern. I was really excited about it. I had it saved in my MacBook at the time. And then the MacBook slowly wound down, got old, and started to die. And I got a new one as a gift from a friend who they had a brother-in-law that refurbished computers or something like that. Thank you so much. And I had put the pattern onto that MacBook, which over time wound down, slowed down, started to die because that was many years ago. And it was pretty much impossible to get things to upload to the cloud from the MacBook. And I don't use a notebook or PC or laptop or desktop anymore. I use my iPad and my iPhone. And I might go back to having a full-on computer at some point, but today is not that day. So putting it on a thumb drive for now doesn't really do me a whole lot of good. I guess maybe I could find somebody with a laptop and email it to myself, but I don't have to because past Gigi printed out the Rainy Day Sock pattern. So it's not finished because I was still, as I recall, playing around with how long I wanted the cuff to be and how many repeats of the pattern I wanted and all that kind of stuff. But I've got a good start. And I think that this beautiful tonal gray would be either really cool for a rainy day sock. I also have in the Felici, this is Fairy Chimney, is that right? What's your name? You know, it doesn't say in a place that I can readily find, but I believe it was called Fairy Chimney. Felici is limited edition. They only do so much of these colorways and then they go away and they get new colorways. So this one is like cream and a dusty rose color and a lavender and a gray. So these colors might actually lend themselves to a rainy day sock as well. And I think I might use this bad boy for a rainy day sock. And this one, I found another pattern handwritten that I had done for some socks with interlacing cables. I have not done a cable so long and I'm craving it a little bit. So with that sock needle that I got, the cable needle, I also got some DPNs in the same size, double pointeds, so I can cable as well. And so this might actually be cool for a texture moment and do those interlacing cables. And if I test that out and it still works and I wrote things down accurately, I think I might publish that pattern because it's really pretty. My mom still has a pair of socks with that pattern that I hand wrote, and they were really pretty. And finally, this is the other Felici that I got. Um, Gosh, I wish I could remember the name. It's a blue and teal, but what I'm thinking about this one is, let me see if I can find that pattern real quick. There's this pattern called Farfalle socks. The Farfalle are the little pastas that like they look like a little bow tie almost, and they have the frilly edge. And that's one of my favorite styles of pasta. And so I made these Farfalle socks, two, maybe three pairs back in like 2010. And I love them. They age really well, even though it's just like one little twist at periodic intervals. So you cable it, but it's just one little twist and it looks so cute. And when it's fresh, it's really crisp and clear and you can see every little twist. And as they age and they kind of bloom, the twists get a little bit more subtle, a little bit less defined, but they're really cushiony and like cozy and just super sweet. So I have 3 sock patterns and sock yarns to work with. So that will be in 2026 something that I kind of dive into a little bit because I haven't knit socks in a long time. And I used to love knitting socks, and I still have from all those years ago 4 pairs of socks that I knit. 3 of which are still in pretty wearable shape. The 4th one is probably going to have to get retired for good soon, and it's one of those Farfalle. I think they're going to have to go because the holes are getting to be pretty huge, and I don't have that yarn anymore because it was a long time ago. I don't even remember what kind of yarn it was. It was really pretty, but those days are gone. Historically, I haven't been the best at updating my Ravelry projects. I'm trying to be a little bit more conscientious about that and a little bit more consistent with it. So hopefully as our time continues and we grow and evolve together, you'll be able to look through my Ravelry and see more of my finished objects and works in progress and things like that. But for now, it's spotty. So yeah, I'm excited to knit some socks this year. I am going to try Judy's Magic Cast On for 2 at a time toe-up socks at some point. I also, the rainy day socks, I'm pretty sure have a star toe. I really used to like doing star toes to do toe-up socks. I am not super looking forward to short row heels again. I remember those being really fussy and like annoying, but it might just be that I didn't practice them enough to get super comfortable with them. So maybe at the end of these 3 projects, I'll feel a little bit more comfortable and confident, or maybe I'll discover another kind of heel. If you have any suggestions, leave them down in the comments because I would love to hear what kind of heel you like to use. Maybe I'll find something that I fall in love with. Yeah, so the last thing I really wanted to chat with you about today was just a brief history of my knitting and crocheting experience, because I think it's fun to look back, and also I think it's probably, hopefully, somewhat interesting, or at least gives you some context as far as like who I am as a crafter. So I did not used to knit or crochet. I dabbled in sewing, but as previously discussed, sewing takes up a lot of time, space, energy, resources. It's a little bit more of an involved craft hobby. So I had friends, two of my best girlfriends loved to knit, were avid knitters, obsessive knitters almost. And unfortunately, that year I had some health problems that caused me to be on bed rest for like a pretty considerable amount of time. And the thing about being on bed rest is it gets pretty boring pretty fast. Like, for someone who's really burnt out and working exceptionally hard and long hours, I'm sure it sounds like a dream. It's not. Like, I wasn't allowed to go up and down stairs by myself. I wasn't allowed to drive. I really wasn't even supposed to walk around by myself because I was having fainting spells and I could get hit by a car and be in the middle of the road and like no one would know where I was. You know, this is before the days of, I don't think I had an iPhone, so like it would be hard to track where I was. But I had all this time and a lot of boredom, and my friends who love to knit were like, "Oh, I would use all that time for knitting." And I said, "I don't know how to knit." And they said, "We will fix that." So, uh, thanks to Katie and Mandy, I started to knit and I really took to it and fell in love with it, and got very excited about moving from a scarf to a hat to mittens to fingerless mittens, to socks and shawls and eventually a sweater. Someday I will show you the very first sweater I ever made. It came out beautifully, but the yarn, I'm not sure if I had a moth incident or if it just was the quality of the yarn, but there's a lot of holes in it. Anyway, um, yeah, so I got really excited about progress and creativity. And it was fun because I had two friends that we would have basically little mini knitting circles, and we would like go to Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival together because we lived in Baltimore. And eventually I worked in the local yarn store, and it was just this big, exciting adventure. And eventually I decided I would learn to crochet as well. My grandmother, my Oma, tried to teach me how to crochet when I was 5 or 6. I really thought I wanted to learn how to knit. And she said, "We'll start with crochet." So many chains, so many chains. And I got so bored, and I don't think I ever even learned a single crochet stitch. I just did a lot of chains and was like, okay, this is boring. So many, many years later, learning how to knit and eventually crochet, like, it teaches you patience. And I think also having grown up, I gained more patience. And it was really nice to reconnect to a memory that I had with my Oma. Uh, and so, yeah, I learned how to crochet, YouTube. I have a great book of crochet stitches that I'll try to find for you at some point, um, with like little pictorial tutorials on how to do the various stitches. Now, these days, my gosh, like YouTube University is incredible. There's so much information. And when I run into something I don't recognize, it's pretty easy and straightforward to like go and find that information. But yeah, so 2009 to probably like 2014, I was knitting and crafting a lot. And then I returned to one of my first loves, which was theater. And I was doing like 7 shows a year, usually large scale musicals that took a lot of time and energy and creativity and focus. And so sometimes I would work on needlecraft projects during rehearsal if I wasn't being used, or, backstage or whatever. But generally not. Like, it kind of started to take away from my crafting because I had a different creative outlet. And intermittently over the years, I would make stuff, a beanie, a cowl, like little things that I could finish easily. But then many years later, fast forward, when COVID happened, my boyfriend at the time, husband now, we were trapped in a single room together in a big house in San Diego that was rented by a lot of people. And we had this one little bedroom. And there were, once again, a lot of hours in a bed. And I had a yarn stash and I had the internet. And so I started crafting again. And I really got into it. We moved to Oregon to be closer to his family and a little bit farther away from like metropolis and people. And I did a lot of knitting and crocheting there too. So then another little break as we got our dance business up and running. But now a return. So that pretty much catches you up on the ins and outs of my crafting career. And I'm really thrilled to be getting back into it and to have you with me so that we can show each other our projects and be friends on Ravelry. And I'm trying to make more crafting friends again because now my friends and I, we all moved away from each other and life takes you in different directions, and that's okay. But I miss having someone to connect with over crafts. So I hope that we can connect. I also am going to a crafting group for millennials, of which I am one. I'm kind of a zennial because I am a little bit on the cusp. I also have older brothers that influenced me heavily growing up. So anyway, but there's this millennial crafting group at our local library called Procrastinators. I love it. I'm a big pun person, and that's pretty close to punning. So yeah, the Procrastinators, I'm hoping I meet some cool people there too. And if I do, maybe I can introduce you at some point. That would be really fun and exciting. So we'll see where it all goes. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. We've been spending quite a bit of time chatting and getting to know one another. So now that you know a little bit more about me, I would love to know a little bit more about you. Feel free to hop into the comments and let me know a little bit more about you. You can friend me on Ravelry if you would wish. I'll put up my Ravelry information for you in the description, and we can chill, we can craft, we can go on adventures. It's going to be great. So thank you for joining me in my corner today. I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you have a fabulous day ahead of you. Take care.